By now, you have absolutely heard of AI, artificial intelligence, even augmented reality, robotics ever since the Jetsons. When I was a kid, I was told, don't sit too close to the TV or your eyes will go bad. Now everyone's walking around with a computer screen at the tip of their nose, and this is just great. Who knows how this can end? I do. It's not going to end great. But while we're in this world, privacy and digital security has never been tougher with AI. The IRS is using AI. The federal government's using AI. The EU is using AI. Australia is salivating over AI. Austria, Belgium, Germany, UK, France, China, Russia, Mongolia. Everyone is getting on the AI train. And this is going to be not good. So today, in Operation AI, we're going to get into what you can do to keep your privacy in an artificial world. This is how well AI works. You cannot tell which one of these clowns are Justin Trudeau. Is this a Trudeau? Is this a Trudeau? Everyone's a Trudeau. But the reality is we can't all be a dictator who hangs out with little boys like Justin Trudeau. Finally, his wife got wise and said goodbye. But the reality is all of these countries are starting to implement regulations when it comes to AI because it's a serious thing moving forward. And this is something you want to take seriously, especially if you're living in one of these countries who's already overreaching on a privacy standpoint. This is becoming a fundamental problem in countries that are taking massive government overreach, like Canada, which used to be a free country, or some of these other countries that are going the way of dictatorships. And even some of the supposed free countries, this is becoming a serious problem. The first thing you want to do is realize your threat levels, okay? So let's start looking at some of the core threat levels. The most obvious is going to be social media. When it comes to social media, you should never use your real name. This is step one, okay? Understanding that when you sign these forms, I don't care if you sign them Ronald McDonald, don't put in real information. A real birthday, a real email, a real phone number, a real anything you should never use. Now, for most of you, it's too late because you've already done this. Well, there are some things you can do. The cool thing about the Freedom of Information Act is you can actually request your data from any company and they legally have to give it to you. This could usually take 30 to 45 days, but you can get your information, you can have your information deleted, and you can start taking steps. So here's the first thing that I recommend all of you do right now today. You get a piece of paper. I don't care if it's a playing card or if it is a notepad or if you want to do it digitally. Start brainstorming and do this over a few day process because you're going to sit down for 20 minutes. You're going to come up with most of them. Start thinking of every place you've had an electric bill, every place you've had a water bill, every place you've rented from, every place that you've purchased something from, every place you've had a credit card from, every newsletter you've signed up for, every social media site you've signed up for. Look for all of these things. Did you sign up for a program at Harbor Freight to get coupons at a discount so you can save some money on your tools? Did you sign up for a Safeway or Albertsons Rewards Club card? Did you sign up for a gas card? Did you sign up for a library card? Every place you've given your information the last 10 years, you want to go back at least 10 years, write on this piece of paper. Now, if it is a social media site, they are typically the easiest. What you can do is request your information, request your data be deleted. You want to delete and deactivate your account, and then you want to open up a new one in fake information. Very simple to do. Now, you might be thinking, well, what if I'm an influencer? Because I've got actually a lot of clients who are influencers. Some of them really, really big influencers. What if I'm an influencer? Well, then you're going to have a couple of different things. You're going to have your public-facing profile, and then you're going to have your personal life, and then maybe you have different hobbies, or maybe you have a business life, right? You're going to compartmentalize these aspects. You can still have a public-facing profile. I've said before, I work with a lot of influencers, a lot of CEOs, a lot of people in Hollywood. These people have to have massive public-facing profiles, but you don't need to be able to find out where they live or what they do or where they bank or how much money they have or all these other things. None of that should actually be attainable unless you want them to have it. I've told you before, I've taken steps so extreme that my own mom doesn't technically know my name or where I live. If my mom wants to hang out, I'll rent a suite. We can hang out all she wants. We communicate. I change my number on a regular basis, so my mom's used to getting numbers from me on a regular basis because my number changes constantly. There's always kind of sort of some way she can contact me. And again, this is nothing against my mom. The reason I bring her up is because it's my mom. Most people, I really don't care if they can ever contact me again from when I was younger. I don't have a lot of friends when I was a kid because I grew up poor, and a lot of them have the poor mindset. So when I became successful, I tried to bring some friends with me, and they wanted to stay in a poor mindset, and so I just leveled up my friends. It may sound, it may sound mean, but it's not mean. You got to cut out the dead weight. I've cut out the dead weight of my life, people who hold you back, people who never do anything different, people who don't add any value in your life. I wish them all the best, but I'm not going to boat anchor my life just because they want to have the same job 10 years later in the same financial situation, the same mortgage, the same crappy house. I wish them the best. So you need to sever ties with companies and people that hold you back in that regard, because then they don't have the ability to mess this up for you. Because the unfortunate situation is when we go into AI, right now is a good time to practice on Web 2, because when Web 3 comes into full effect, practice is over. And as your real information gets in there, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you literally can do. Now, a lot of people ask me, Cody, why do you tell people you live in Vegas? Because wouldn't you want to keep where you're located a secret? The reason I tell people I live in Vegas, and I really do live in Vegas, you guys know that. I've met some of you in Vegas. I've met clients in Vegas. PrivacyX has an office in Vegas. I've been in Vegas a long time. A lot of you have seen me at the poker tables in Vegas. I play high-stakes poker in Vegas all the time, every week. The reason I tell people I live in Vegas is because I've had a lot of people threaten to dox me and try to come after me, and they quickly realize that's not possible because I'm the best in the world at what I do, and it doesn't happen. And so it's kind of like just putting that thing out there, right? Do I recommend you put where you live? No, I do not. I do not. But I do recommend you restructuring your thing. Now, I did this over a decade ago. Now that we're in a society that has massive data collection, Facebook stole another idea. You heard me right. They steal every idea. They stole Threads. They got a lot of customers really quick, or I should say subscribers really quick. People didn't even realize what they were signing. It is the #1 data collection social media that's ever happened in history. They collect more data and information on that new app Threads than any other company ever, including Facebook itself, including Instagram, including WhatsApp, which are all meta companies, which meta is just another term for Facebook, or meta is maybe, well, I won't go down that road. Anyway, it's a serious problem, and you need to watch these things. Now, being on a VPN, using a virtual box, using things like cubes, Unix, at bare minimum, a different flavor of Linux, and compartmentalizing the different sections of your life is very, very important, and I recommend all of you do this. So starting to remove some generic information. Now, I recommend all of you never receive mail where you live. You should never, ever receive a piece of mail where you lay your head. Rule 1 in privacy, do not lay your head and receive mail at the same place, ever. Now, for most of you, for 95% of you, you're like, well, I just got mail today. I understand. Here's what you do. Thing 1, you can get a personal mailbox, a private mailbox, a virtual office. Now, I talk about the whole ghost structure, but let's just start before that. What can you do right now? I don't care if you get a private mailbox in your name. Even at that point, you have a buffer and a layer. There's an added layer where somebody would need a legal document to find you. That alone changes things greatly for 90% of you. Do not get mail where you lay your head, period. Do not ever get a P.O. box. or the equivalent of a P.O. box in a different country. At bare minimum, get a private mailbox. Yes, there are some forms, and if you're not doing it through a ghost business, there are some forms you have to fill out that could have your personal information on. But even that, those forms have to be subpoenaed legally. So the average person doesn't have access to those records. So even that is going to keep you substantially more private than just having mail go to your personal house. You should never fill out a change of mail address form again for a personal residence. Your mail should always go to a separate place. Now, coming full circle on mail, you shouldn't be receiving mail. Everything should be paperless, but legally you have to have a mailing address. Also, your driver's license should not have your home address on it, but that is a much more advanced topic that I can get into at a later time and that I go through with ghost business clients. But your driver's license should never have your home address on it. And it's something that can be done in all 50 states and most countries. Not all countries, but most countries. But in the United States, Canada, Australia, and most of Europe, there's a few wild cards in Europe, this is actually easier than a lot of people think. And legal, 100%. But starting to break these chains and starting to set up a wall now, today, is going to be important. So tomorrow, all your information isn't locked in Web3. I don't think a lot of people understand. All things in life, there's an angel and there's a devil. There's good and there's bad. There's pros and there's cons, period. There's a lot of pros to Web3. I don't want to scare you of Web3. Web3 is going to be incredible. I cannot wait for Web3 to be in full effect. But the Web3 that I'm building on, the Web3 that my peers are building on, the Web3 that the entrepreneurs I respect and that I know are building on, is a lot different than the Web3 that the psychopaths on WorldCoin and Microsoft and these big corporations and these governments are building on. It's a lot different than the Web3 of the CBDC and the social credit score. That's not what I'm excited about, and we need to stay far away from that. It's kind of like Web 2. There are really good parts of Web 2, and there are really bad parts of Web 2. Similar process. So don't be scared of Web 3. Don't use Web 3 as a buzzword for bad things. Web 3 is going to be very, very good. But there's going to be aspects of it because there's nothing in life that's 100% perfect. So you need to start taking action now while you can. Web 2, think of Web 2 as practice. The cool thing about Web 2 is you can basically get everything off. I get clients coming to me every day who have court records, who have lawsuits, who have all these kind of things. There's things you can do through SEO and suppression tactics to suppress everything. A lot of it you can actually legally have removed, but even if you can't have it removed, you can have it suppressed, which is great, so people can't find it. There's a lot of things you can do if it matters to you to be able to do these things, but starting to take these things and take action now, today, while you can. Doesn't cost any money to start taking action now, period. There's no excuse. A lot of people make a lot of excuses on why they're not off-grid, why they're not a ghost, why they're not successful, why they don't have the life they want, why they don't do what they want to do, why they're not truly free. They have a lot of excuses, but they don't take a lot of action. If you don't take a lot of action on a daily basis, you will get nowhere, and you have nobody to blame but yourself. Quit blaming politicians. Politicians are not the problem. Politicians are acting to their flawed human nature. Now, that's not me covering for them or respecting them or giving them a pass. They don't care if I give them a pass or not. I don't matter to them, just like you don't matter to them, and that's my point. If you're waiting for a politician to fix your current circumstances, you're going to have your whole life pass you by. So when it comes to privacy and it comes to AI, understand that privacy is a right, and it's a right that you need to protect, but nobody's going to protect it for you. And when it comes to AI, understand that AI is happening, whether you like it or not, just like 5G. Thousands of people fought 5G, and in the end, we got 5G, and they basically told those people to kick rocks because the financial interests of 5G were more important than what the people want, more important than the people's health, more important than anything. And that's the same thing that's going to happen with AI. The implications for the intelligence agency, why do you think the United States government has no interest in regulating AI? Because they are salivating at what the CIA and FBI and NSA can do with AI. That's why. They don't care about any of this other stuff. Legal, privacy, monetary, none of that matters. What matters to them is the power. They have power and they want to expand their power and they want to keep their power. And this is another tool. This is another arrow in their quiver to keep the power. That's why this is going the way this is going. And that's why this will continue to go the way that it's always gone. So knowing that information, you got to decide what you're going to do now to take action. And the first thing you can do, the best thing you can do is start taking yourself out of all these situations. Pull an alias out of thin air. I don't care. Your favorite TV show. Take your two favorite TV shows. Let's say James Bond and Jason Bourne. Jason Bond, there's your alias. Okay? James Bourne. Now, maybe not go that obvious and cliche, but literally, it can be that easy. And start using that to sign up for all this crap. And then ultimately, when you get a ghost business and have a legitimate alias and start going down this process, you start tracking your stuff. But come up with something you want to go by immediately and start using that. Start going down the rabbit hole of that. And then kind of build these things for yourself and pull out all your real information unless somebody needs to know it. Have a stage name. Have a name that you go by. Now you say, well, my grandma's never going to call me that, or your mom's never going to. That's fine. I talked about compartmentalization. Compartmentalize your family, compartmentalize your friends, compartmentalize your work, compartmentalize your hobbies, compartmentalize your business, compartmentalize your private life, whatever you want to do. But understand that your privacy is a right, and it's a right that needs to be protected, and the best way to protect it is to control your own information, control your own data. Just like the banks make trillions of dollars off of our deposits, and most of you should not have very much money in the bank, you start looking at assets and things that'll be here when things go south. Similar situation. These companies make trillions of dollars off your information, your data, your metadata, your marketing information, etc., and you don't make a nickel off it. So don't give it to them willy-nilly. You don't get anything by giving them your information, and you don't owe them your information. Just because somebody asks you your phone number, you have two choices. One, I don't have a phone. You wouldn't believe how many times I say I don't have a phone. And they look at me and they're like, what? And they, there's nothing, what are they going to say? I don't have a phone. Email? Nope, no email. I used to give fake emails. Now I don't even, no, I'm not interested. I'm good. But I know a lot of you don't like to go that. So just, my phone number. It's 555-555-7389. My email is josephanaconda38911angel@gmail.yahoo.msn.com. Who cares? Who cares? I'm not going to give them any real information, especially if that information is connected to you. The next thing, phones. Not good. I've done the videos on burner phones. You guys have seen them. I recommend you watch them again if you haven't. All I'm going to say about phones is not good. Not good, guys. If you want to be private and secure, a laptop, a desktop. Phones, the app. When you have a device with apps, it is never going to be as secure, it is never going to be as private, and you're never going to have any control over it. A laptop, even from, I can't say it, even from little Billy Gates's, even from Mike, this company right here, a laptop from this crappy company right here, where the windows are always open, is going to be better than having any phone. Because the problem with phones is by their design, they are not secure. Phone calls are not secure, text message. Any call you have and any text you have, make sure you're okay with it being on a billboard outside your house, okay? Because that's basically what's possible, easily, with a $13 device from Radio Shack. So understand that. Understand how these things work and start bringing your information back, because these big companies and governments are going to be using AI against you, and then you're going to foolishly opt in because you want the latest and greatest technology and the 3D, augmented reality, virtual reality, cool machine. And then you're going to give all your information and all your data and your name and your address and your social security number and your birth date and your tax ID number and your citizen number and everything you can think of, you're going to give over to this little device so you can play a game on a device that you spent $1,800 for. Okay. So don't do that, and that's going to be the start. So these are some steps you can take right now to get started today for no money and for very, very little money for getting like a address. Do not send anything to where you live, because that's going to link it to you, and it's going to follow you around, and that's not good. Understand that a phone is the worst thing and the worst tracking device in the history of humanity, and having a burner phone is vital. And all the metadata and all the tracking data will always be linked to you as long as you have that device, so get rid of the device. And then make absolute sure you start taking out all the information you don't need. Start with old accounts and just get in the habit of doing a few at a time and keep a running list, because it takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of effort. I don't recommend most of these services because most of them are BS. Now, this is something I help my Ghost Program members with, but we don't do it exclusively. It's part of our program. So, I don't have a service where we just do that. It's only part of our Ghost Program. There are some services you can use with, I don't recommend any of them, and I don't not recommend any of them. You'll get varying results, but you'll have to do a lot of upkeep because the way they're structured, they pull you out typically for less than 12 months. It's a temporary hold, and then it gets you to get on a recurring payment program. That's the whole stick. So just so you understand, if you're okay with paying them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, then they can get about 80% of your information out of there. And that's good. You don't have to do anything, and they'll do it for you, and you'll just get on a recurring payment. And as soon as the payments stop, all your information will show back up. That's the problem with a lot of these services. So anyway, guys, start taking action. Start taking your privacy and your security, because your privacy and your digital security is your freedom, and your freedom is your future. Take that in your hands. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.